and we are the partners of Solarian Games.
I'm Jason.
And this here is Peter. And this week, we've got 5 stories for you. First one being Chaosium Unveils new collector's edition Call of Cthulhu books. They are pretty. Wizards of the Coast president would love a new Dungeons Dragons MMORPG. That's a lot of letters. Kobold Press releases Monster Vault 2. Bunch of new stuff for that. Tenebris is a new gothic sci-fi RPG full of cosmic horror. And there's something called Analog Union that starts this week. I guess we'll find out about that at the end of the show, and you should stick around to find out about it because it's really cool.
It's us, so stick around for us to tell you about what us is doing.
Yes. All right. Hey, Brian. All right. So for our first story, these are beautiful looking books. They're Call of Cthulhu books that they're re-releasing. Now, these are just 4 of them. I was trying to get confirmation exactly, but I think there's like 15 leather-bound. Whoa, where'd you go? Leather-bound books. I don't know why you weren't on the stream there for a second.
I don't know.
Anyway, so I think there's 15 of these, apparently.
You need leather-bound dollars to buy these leather-bound books.
Oh my God! And the Mask of Nyarlathotep. Oh Jesus, that one's not cheap.
Boy, 250. I'm jumping the gun. Sorry, you tell us.
Yes. Well, I wasn't going to list all the prices, but go ahead. Yeah.
We're not seeing any pictures on the live stream. It looks like we just got a big black screen. And while these books are blacker than black, and they go to 11, there we go. Now we can see them.
Oh,
look at these.
That's weird. You know what I did? I did the old turn it off, turn it back on again. Because that always works for some dumb ass reason. Anyway. So, all right, let's talk about these. So these are a premium line of Call of Cthulhu RPG books in a limited run leatherette editions. They are updated for the 7th edition, and they do come with free PDFs, everyone. So if when you spend the $1 zillion on each one of these books, you get the PDF with it. They feature elegant bindings, and they're tailored for fans who want. Here's their line: for fans who want both aesthetic appeal and gameplay depth. That's a nice line.
All right. Yes. Those are words. Those are all definitely words.
All right. So this first one, this Mask of Nyarlathotep.
I would think you would be practicing these words before you come on the show. I have not.
Yeah, Nyarlathotep. Anyway. Yes. You know what? If I say his name right, he will actually come after me. So I should get it wrong.
You can't summon him. So Candyman.
So they claim that this is the campaign that defined handouts, but I'm questioning that. Is it that there were D&D stuff that had handouts long ago, right?
Yeah, like I don't know who says that this is one that defined. I mean, if you want to say handouts, I think the first adventure that was really handouty was the Expedition to the Barrier Peaks. Because in the Expedition to the Barrier Peaks, there was a whole set of cards that you could cut out from the module if you were the sort of person that liked to cut up your modules and hand them to the players to let them know what they were seeing. So, yeah, sure, they have 100 full-color handouts. They have more here, but lots of stuff has had handouts. Maybe they're saying they had really good handouts.
Or maybe they were the handouts that came outside of the module. Like you didn't have to cut anything out. Like actually came with physical, independent pieces. I don't know, but I know Barrier Peaks had pages in it that were, essentially you'd cut them out and hand them out, or photocopy them and cut them and hand them out. But maybe it's just like I said, maybe it's just something that came with handouts. You just hand out right away. So anyway, the Masks of Nyarlathotep is 2 hardcover volumes with over 600 pages. So that $250 you said? That might not be too bad a deal. I mean, you're getting hardcover leatherette, well-bound volumes, over 600 pages.
It's still $125.
Yeah.
If I'm buying a book for $125, that thing better be old and collectible.
Yeah. Well, you're getting
That's how I
100
see
full
it.
color handouts, maps, and reference materials. It does have a modular campaign structure allowing players to explore global locations like Peru, New York, Egypt, and you can do it in any order.
Well,
it's pretty cool.
That's good. I think what's going on here is we've kind of seen the tabletop game world have 2 tiers or more at this point. And Brian just pointed out that Beetle and Grimm does great stuff. And that's a perfect example of what I'm talking about is you've got all the stuff that people buy that's at pretty much the same price point it's always been, adjusted for inflation. And then you have these premium things for the high rollers, the people who are like, look, I've got a bunch of money. I want to spend it on something. What can I give you extra cash for? And here's something you can give extra cash for.
Yeah, I'm a longtime gamer. I work at a company where I design software and I make $500,000 a year. I would like a book that I can buy for $250, please.
Yeah, and they're beautiful.
Or whatever.
Leatherette is okay, but still, these we'll have to see what they look like. I'm assuming they're going to have all the other stuff like gilded edges and bookmarks and really nice paper. We'll see.
Yeah,
it says elegant bindings, but
yeah,
they better be.
Yeah. It also comes with let's see, another one is a Pulp Cthulhu, which if you're not familiar with that, it's basically a Call of Cthulhu, but it gives you sort of like the rules for being an adventurer, more so like, ooh, what are you drinking there?
I'm just gonna tell you right now, sake doesn't keep in the refrigerator for a year. It doesn't. No, it just doesn't. Oh my gosh. Why don't you tell the folks more about Cthulhu while I go get something to do?
Wash that down.
You keep talking.
All right, it's fine. All right, so the Pulp Cthulhu, it's adventure. It's like Indiana Jones ish, or maybe the Mummy would be a good example, because he's fighting monsters and stuff. Let's see. The genre specific guidance comes with tips for keepers and players to capture the pulp vibe plus historical context from the Great Depression era. Comes with 4 scenarios: the Disintegrator, Waiting for the Hurricane, Pandora's Box, and Slow Boat to China. They all come with full color maps and handouts, and the physical edition. The physical edition comes with a free PDF for digital play. These all come with free. Then we have the last one that I'm going to talk about for this set, which is the Grand Grimoire of Cthulhu Mythos Magic, and it is pretty cool. This is a deluxe spell book for Call of Cthulhu RPG that combines over 550 spells plus from 30 plus years of game supplements. I think that is really cool because, you have these supplements you come out with. You always want to put new stuff in supplements. So you get people to buy them. Plus, you keep people interested and you come up with ideas as you go along. And then to like compile them later. That way other people don't have to go and buy like 50 friggin' books. They can have all their stuff compiled together. That's pretty cool.
It's an amazing setup.
But one of the things that really,
it's going to be, it's probably a very good investment if you're the sort of person that likes to make sure you have the best things for collectors later.
Yeah. And you know what? These books would be really good. So like I have my area down here, you can see behind me, and have books on the shelves and stuff. And some of the books I may have never read and I may never read, but they looked, I'll try to get to them eventually, but some of them are there because they look really cool.
Mm-hmm.
They're sort of art. They're sort of part of, there's nothing wrong with having a book that you don't read if it looks good. It can be art. Well, I don't know why a book can't be art. A friend of mine does that.
Yeah, absolutely.
He actually puts books up on these little shelves. So anyway, yeah, that's about it for that. That's the Call of Cthulhu new edition of books.
Love it.
All right.
What do we have
next story?
There's a new.
Oh Jesus! There we go. What the hell?
Yeah, let it go. Do its thing. So as we know, there is a new president at Wizards of the Coast, John Haidt. Not that new. He's been there for 1 year now, so that's good. He's had a chance to settle in, and he's been given some good interviews. And the headline here is that he would love to see a new D&D MMORPG. I'm going to get to that, though. That's more kind of a thing that he talked about. He didn't really say they're doing one or anything like that. So we'll get to what he's thinking about with that. But basically, he's an the hot seat now for about a year. He came into Wizards at a time when things were getting a little rocky. So
Right.
Wizards has had its ups and downs, and after 5th edition, it was really on a high. You know, it was at the point where it was the highest number of new players, the highest. There's something like, I don't know, they said 50 million people had played D&D at one point. Everything was really good. But at a certain point,
Right.
the game had been out for a long time. They hadn't really done something new. They were getting ready to do 5.5 or whatever it's called. And it's a bunch of stuff just kind of went down right before he arrived. One of the big ones was with the OGL. Remember, they were, I don't know if they were really ending it or just making it really hard to use or something like that. They had to walk those plans back a bit. And then they had 5 different video games that got canceled. And Hasbro ended up laying off 1,100 people. So this is all before he arrived. This is kind of the situation he walked into. Seems like he's making a turnaround on things. So this guy, John Haidt, he does not come from the tabletop world, but he is a big tabletop gamer. He cares a lot about it. He's a big D&D player. He's just not from that business world. He came from a bunch of different video game type of things. He was at 3DO, if you ever heard of them or remember them, the kind of alternate console way back in the day. He was at EA, he's at Atari and Sony. And for the past 13 years, he was at Blizzard making World of Warcraft. So that's why we're going to talk about the MMORPG. But the big thing he was talking about is just kind of how everything is switching over, the way that things are being set up at Wizards. And one of the big ones is how D&D and Magic are each going to be much more unified in their own worlds. So I just finished reading a book called Slaying the Dragon, and Ben Riggs is the author, and he did a great job of giving a history of what it was like for TSR when they eventually when they got bought by Wizards. So I've got a lot of that on my mind right now, because basically what happened was TSR in their last years, they made a bunch of strategic mistakes. And one of the biggest mistakes they made was they split their line into a dozen different settings. And, so you have Dark Sun, Forgotten Realms, Ravenloft, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, 12 different settings. And they thought, well, with all these different settings, we're going to be selling a lot more games. But what they ended up doing was splitting their audience and essentially cannibalizing their own sales. Because if you have somebody who's playing Forgotten Realms, they're not going to be playing Dark Sun. And if they're playing Planescape, they're not going to be playing, et cetera, et cetera. So Wizards made a lot of smart choices when they took over D&D, and one of the big things that Wizards did at the very beginning under Peter Atkinson was to try to streamline everything and say, let's just have D&D players. Let's not have Ravenloft players. Let's have D&D players. So what I'm hearing them do now is kind of echoes of that. They had gotten to the point where D&D was getting fragmented, and for example, they did a movie, right? So there was what was it called? Honor Among Thieves. And big dollars, but it didn't really have tie-ins in the game. They just it was almost like these were separate worlds, because they were. So one of the things he's talked about is that when they made that, he said, quote, we would have loved to have had a D&D book or a campaign part and parcel with the movie. Which, yeah, if you liked the movie, you couldn't play it wasn't set up for that. Or Stranger Things, they're starting to do stuff with Stranger Things now, but just basically these haven't been integrated, and neither have their digital sides or their merchandising or anything. It's all been these different things. And so I think they're making a really smart move here. Actually bring these things together. So they've got this new guy. I've lost his name here. The person who's in charge of D&D, basically, Dan somebody. That's all right. I'll find his name later. Dan Ayub. There we go. So Dan Ayub, another video game guy, but a big D&D player, and he's been actually thinking about doing all this kind of stuff. And so what the new president's been talking about is just what is Wizards going to do now? Obviously, you can't just make endless books and have people keep on buying them, right? Because at a certain point, you've got the books, you can play the game. I mean, that's always been the problem with tabletop RPGs as a business, is you really only need to buy 1 or 2 books and you're done.
Right. That's the beauty of them. That's why we liked it. That's why we got into it so much as kids. I mean, we didn't have any money. We bought a couple books and we just played. That was it.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have to buy a bunch of different games.
Right. So as consumers, we love it. But, the trouble is you've got to put food on the tables for, hundreds of employees or however many they have, thousands. I don't know, probably hundreds. I don't know. So you've got to find other ways for people to keep giving you money. And they're looking at some of the things that they're going to be doing with digital. So this was kind of surprising to me. They apparently have a whole set of internal studios for digital stuff. And I'll get a list of them here. Atomic Arcade, Invoke, Skeleton Key, and Archetype. And then they also have an external one called Giant Skull, who's making a single-player D&D action-adventure game. And then 15 people from EA and Cliffhanger Games joined WotC to work on yet another new title. So there's all these studios out there.
Jeez.
What are they doing, right? And then you've got the Exodus game coming out. So there's a lot of things happening there. And this is probably why it's a good idea to have somebody like Height in here who's from the video game world, because he knows how to handle that. That was the other thing that...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was the other thing that really wrecked it for TSR back in the day. So, we all know that TSR imploded and Dungeons and Dragons almost died in 1997. It could have very easily gone away if it hadn't been for the fact that Magic the Gathering made a lot of money and Peter Atkinson was a huge D&D fan and stepped in to save it. So
right
when TSR crashed and burned, they had 3 things against them. They had the fragmentation that I just talked about. They had a huge amount of debt to their printers and Random House that I won't go into how they created all of it, but it was bad. And also they didn't know how to keep up with what was happening in computer gaming at the time. They tried to make a few computer games and they had no idea how to do it. And Wizards, frankly, didn't have any idea how to do it until recently either. So hopefully, because they've now got this guy, John Height, who cares deeply about D&D and who understands video games, they're going to make this work. And I'm going to just point out one thing that he said in the interview that I thought was great. He said that they want to build a central team around their video game efforts. And he specifically said they want to avoid the peaks and troughs of game development. So what happens is, if you've ever known anybody who works in video games, a lot of people get hired for a big AAA title, a new GTA is coming out or something like that, and they work really hard for a year or 2 on it, and then it's done, and then there's massive layoffs because they ramp up and then they let everybody go and they treat them badly all the way along. And one of the things that the big thing that Wizards did when they bought D&D is they focused on the talent that was working there. And I'm hearing him say the same thing, focus on the talent. So he's trying to basically make sure that there's a central team that always has something to do so that they don't get trapped in what he's seen happen at other companies. So it all sounds really good.
It's crazy to me that companies would adopt that model at all. Because, and I'll tell you, working in industry my whole life, especially the engineering industries are like this. Engineering has these valleys and troughs as well, right? Mm-hmm. So there are times when you will be flush with work, over flush with work. And then there are times where people are struggling to find anything to do. Mm-hmm. The company doesn't lay people off. They don't lay their engineers off. They pay them, even if the engineer has nothing to do for like 2 or 3 weeks, a month, whatever, because if you get rid of that talent, then you got to find that talent again later. And if you've got a good engineer, why would you get rid of him? That's an investment. You're just investing in your own company by keeping that person. And
right.
There's this.
Well,
there's this
companies, they think that the talent is fungible. They think they can just swap them out. Be like, well, we'll just put somebody in that seat and they will also be talented.
Well, there's talent and there's talent.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just the
Like,
fact that
yes, you might have technical talent, but how well does your team mesh? How well do you guys work together? If you fire off a crew of people that work together well, and then you bring in, a new crew and they don't get together, they don't get along well, because that happens, then what do you got? You've got a non-functional team.
Yeah.
So I don't know, it's just silly
it
to me.
sounds like they're doing all the right things. And the last thing I want to just kind of call out that he said in this is he was asked about AI. And I think he really had the right answers for it. He said specifically that, I wanted to find the exact quote here that he said about it. But anyways, he basically said that, here it is. He says, the art that you see in a Dungeons and Dragons product will come from the mind of a human and will be made by a human. So he's very specific that they're not going to be using AI for creative purposes. They're not replacing writers. They're not replacing artists. They're not doing any of that. And that's probably going to be a huge... He does talk about using AI tools for other things. I mean, you can use AI to take meeting notes, or maybe to help you, do bug QA and stuff like that. But you don't use it. You do it to replace the drudgery. You don't use it to replace the creativity. And I think that's probably going to be a competitive advantage for them, because we're seeing a lot of companies over-invest in AI because the CEOs think that it's going to be a magic wand, and then it turns out not to work as good as they thought. And now they're trying to figure out, what do we do with these billion-dollar investments? And you see these guys going, no, we know we've got talent. We know how to make it work. And I think it's going to work for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So last thing is, he did say, so we'll say the MMORPG thing. So keeping in mind that John Haidt comes from World of Warcraft, so obviously the question is, what about a online game? And so I actually didn't know this until I read the interview. He was quick to point out that there is one. It's called Dungeons and Dragons Online. I completely forgot about that. I'd heard about it. I've never played it. It exists. So if you want to play a D&D MMORPG, yeah, who knew? It's been around apparently for well over a decade. It has players. That's fine. But he is saying that, he actually thinks that there's an opportunity to make something new and different. And so he said some things about wanting to rethink what is an MMO in this day and age. And kind of pointed out that there's a lot more storytelling aspect to a game like D&D, and MMORPGs don't provide for that today. So he didn't announce any plans. He didn't say they're making anything. He was just speculating in an interview. If he was going to do something, it would be years away, but it was neat to hear him talk about it. So that's the answer.
Okay, cool. We did have a couple comments. So David, I didn't know this, but Hasbro, because I had to look it up. Hasbro is not. I thought they were like on the West Coast or something, just because Wizards is. But apparently they are in Rhode Island and they're moving to Boston.
Yeah. Well, what do you know?
Brian said that they did release character sheets for all the characters from the movie, the Honor Among Thieves. He's like, but that's about all he saw. And then, hi, Linda. Okay.
Cool. All right. So, hey, so far we like John Haidt. He seems to be cool. Good job, John Haidt.
Yeah. See. All right. All right. And now I'm missing a slide. Okay. I can't win for losing. It's not, I can't win for losing, Jason. All right, I'm just going to hide it. I don't have time to fix it.
That's all right.
Anyway, all right. So Monster Vault 2 from Kobold Press has 300 new, it says Frenemies, monsters, and more. So what's kind of, this is cool. I like this book. I like the idea of this book because, it's a whole bunch of new monsters, right? We always love new monsters. But it's for two systems. It's for their Tales of the Valiant and for Dungeons and Dragons 5e. Now, there's not a huge difference between the two. Tales of the Valiant is basically completely compatible with D&D, from 2014. 5e 2014. So it's very similar. It's gonna be very, very similar. And I'm sure it'd be so easy to have either one of them cross over, so you can use either one. I think that's what they're saying here. It's for both.
Sure.
But it's also got game master tools to enhance encounters and storytelling, which is another thing that I really liked about this story. That's cool. I always like new mechanics for storytelling. And this isn't just. I don't think these are just let's talk about how you feel about this monster. No, I think it's actual tools. So um, let's see. So it's built on the Black Flag role playing system, which I didn't know, and I love it. I really hope that's a callback to
Henry
the
Rollins
punk
and Greg
rock
Ginn,
band.
and I hope so.
Yeah, Henry Rollins and crew. But it's probably referencing pirating stuff or something. But in my mind, it's punk rock. So I'm just gonna go with that.
Yes, we'll go
It's like I said, it's fully compatible with 5e in 2014, D&D 2014 rule set, and the goal was to support people who want both the new fantasy role playing content and a familiar rules framework, especially for those who prefer the older 5e version over the more recent changes. And that's understandable. I've heard people not happy about that, but you could still use it with the new one if you wanted to. Let's see. Here's some differences. So I was like, well, what does that mean? What exactly does that mean? What kind of differences are you talking about?
Yeah, what do we got?
And apparently, the TOV system, their character creation uses lineage and heritage to separate physical traits versus cultural background. Talents act somewhat like feats and background features, but with different structure. Um, some changes on how ability bonuses and racial heritage features work.
Okay, sure.
Um,
Why not?
they say for spells, there's expanded spell casting, new spell sources, adjustments, blah blah blah. Let's see. The Monster Vault, hundreds of monsters, new creatures. I mean, D&D has plenty of monsters.
Yeah.
With tools for GMs to adjust difficulty, terrain, etc. Also, new monster traits such as Doom are introduced.
All right, so this is new. All right, so they got this new Doom Point thing. What's up with that?
Yes. Doom points. Hold on. Did I not?
So we're going to escalate tension and dynamic plot tables with Doom Points, but
yeah.
I don't know what.
So it hasn't come out, so I didn't really see any information on Doom points on anywhere. Like they mention them, but I don't know what they're for. And if I have to guess, it's probably something like fate points. Where
what are fate points?
It's something. Well, in games, there's a lot of games that use like either they're called hero points or fate points or whatever.
And I can hear right now. So we've got Kevin Borup in the chat, and I can hear him shouting at the screen right now, going, "Don't you know this mechanic?" Because Kevin's got the podcast. It's all about mechanics. So I don't know this one. So here's stuff I don't know.
So Kevin, if
I don't even know,
if you know, drop a line in the chat.
All right.
But anyway, so Doom points. I think they're for like when you encounter monsters and stuff. I know from what I was reading, they do affect the adventure that you're on while you're playing because the monster either did something or is going to do something or whatever. But let's see, streamline stat blocks for monster bundles for quick dungeon and campaign prep, which is nice because I've done some of that stuff for Top Secret 2, helping out with this last, which is coming out in a book that's coming up. And then they have high fantasy themes with unique, challenging foes that go beyond the typical monster fare. That sounds like corp speak, but whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the book.
Okay. It's interesting. It says here that there's a world setting in here. There's a meta setting called the Labyrinth, right? So it's kind of neat that that's there because the next story we're going to talk about involves another game that has a labyrinth in it. But what I thought was kind of interesting in here is they've got this multiverse space connecting different worlds. And this sounds an awful lot like what Planescape did. So with Planescape, you've got City of Doors.
Right,
in Planescape, you have your City of Doors that go out to all the different planes, and there's that's kind of the setting that goes between all of them. And you even ended up having Spelljammer that allowed you to sail an astral ship from one place to another. And it didn't make a lot of money for TSR back in the day because of bad management decisions, but it was an amazing setting. It was the first time anybody ever really did a serious multiverse setting like that. And it kind of sounds like what they're doing with the Labyrinth is it sounds like a throwback to Planescape. So I'd be very interested to see how it compares. I'd like to see because I mean you can use Planescape, just adjust some things for your campaign. So or maybe this is better.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice to see it.
Yeah. Oh, I looked up Doom Points. It says Doom Points are a game master resource similar to a monster's budget, used to increase the challenge and tension of an encounter by allowing monsters to perform special actions or automatically succeed on rolls.
Okay. So basically, the monster gets some fortune points.
Yeah.
What it
So,
sounds like.
I mean, if you think about it, like when you're running an adventure as a game master and you've got 4 players, right? And you run an encounter and the players like outwit the creature or whatever. Well, that's because you're going up against 4 people thinking.
Mhm.
You're one person thinking, and that's 4 of them thinking. So sometimes the monster needs a little bit of help with things because it's like, oh, I didn't see that coming because I was busy, rolling dice and doing mechanics, and I didn't have time to just sit back and like really think what my monster was going to do. So sometimes it's cool to give the monster a little bit of something so that they actually stand a chance.
I'll have to see, because I mean, really,
Yeah.
as the GM, you've already got the you've got the control over what's happening in that world, so you could already give the monster a few little things where you need to, but maybe turning it into a system,
You
turning it
could.
into a mechanic matters. So we'll see.
We'll see. All
All
right.
right.
Let's go to our next one.
All right, so we have a
This is
new
neat.
game that is coming out from
See, this one
Black
works.
Armada. So Black Armada is the folks that make Lovecraft-esque, which has won a bunch of awards. Some other games like Bite Marks, Wreck This Deck, Flotsam, which is a sort of a cosmic horror type of sci-fi, and Last Fleet. So they've got a lot of background in doing sci-fi, dark sci-fi, cosmic horror, and I think they brought it all together with this new game called Tenebris or Tenebris, and I don't know how to pronounce it either. What this is, aside from a very beautiful looking book, the core book and the campaign book are beautiful looking things. This is a sci-fi Lovecraftian horror type of thing. So it is about a future civilization that lives under the constant threat of invasion from a terrifying nightmare realm of space known as the Tenebrium. And that's where we get the name Tenebria. So things that are coming out of the Tenebrium. So you have these cosmic horrors, the deep ones, but now they're in some other realm of space, and they can make it through into where you are as players. You're in the Republic of the Stars, and the players are the Guardians of Moira, and it quotes them here as being a ragtag team of criminals, occultists, retired cops, and reanimated corpses. So already pretty cool thing to be as players. It's very inspired by things like Alien, Dead Space, Dune, even Warhammer 40K. So it's got that dark sci-fi, not a dystopian Earth one, not a utopian thing, more of a, I mean, it's very, it sounds kind of space opera, but in a good way, in a really good way.
Yeah.
One of the things that it does is it's getting away from this idea that, well, frankly, Paizo and Wizards are both doing right now, which is they just send elves into space, So this is not any of that. This is much more its own thing. It's focusing on the idea that there's advanced technology and magic, and they're two sides of the same coin. Sounds very cool. It's really an investigative game. So in this, the players are facing conspiracies and solving mysteries, and they're doing it in this dark world. And there's a really cool gameplay mechanic in here called Shadow. So if you're playing Cthulhu, you can get insanity, etc. Similarly here,
Right.
you can go down a dark path with Shadow. But what's really cool is, as you go through your adventures as a PC, you sorry, in the chat, Brian says they're Vulcans, damn it, not elves. Yes. So with Shadow, you can actually get more Shadow as you fight monsters, and it gets you new abilities. So you become more powerful with Shadow, but it also corrupts you and leads you down a dark path to tragedy. So
Yes.
sounds fun. Now, this is the only thing that maybe isn't getting me here, is that the system, it's a system called Spawned from the Tenebrium. And so this is a very narrative game. It says it's descended from Powered by the Apocalypse. So this is going to be one
Which
of
is
those
not one of your favorites.
No, this is one of those things where the players get to say, like, well, I've decided that the actual monster has extra legs or whatever. I mean, I don't really know, but I think that the narrative storytelling type of things is a cop-out. I think it's a way to say, I don't want to learn the rules. I just want to say what's happening. I'm probably a little biased because I don't play these games that much, but when I have played them, I've felt whenever I've played something in a real narrative system, I felt kind of cheated because there's not enough external things happening. You know, that I'm not, as a player, I'm not adventuring. I'm telling. You know, that's cool, but I want the dice to tell me what happens. I don't want to be able to say what happens. But Powered by the Apocalypse, incredibly popular. A lot of people love this. I think people who love this are going to really like this type of thing. It looks gorgeous. And they're doing pretty well. They're on Kickstarter. They had a $17,000 goal. They've now, as the last time I looked, they had about $32,000. So they about doubled their goal. 367 backers so far. Hopefully they get a lot more. And it looks gorgeous and it's worth checking out. So that is the Tenebris from Black Armada.
Yeah. And we just want to make it clear that, you know, we're not objectively, you know, saying nobody's saying that you know, storytelling games or Apocalypse, you know, Powered by the Apocalypse is not a good game. It's just not.
It's not my game.
I agree with Jason. It's just not our type of game.
It's not my game. Yeah.
If you love it,
thing,
great, go for it.
Yeah.
Play your ass off. Whatever.
No, I think it looks great. I think people should pay for it. I think they should buy it. I think they should play it. Just, you know, I like the setting. I'd like to check it out.
I'm not going to sign up for it at a con.
Yeah. All right. Let's get to our big featured story. We have been working on something for the past few weeks. So there is a new thing that we're doing called the Analog Union. While back when we were down in Baltimore at what was it called this time? It was Cat Festival. So this was Justin
Cat Fest, yes,
from Severed Books, and he throws some great events. And by the way, he's also got a new thing he's doing called Quiet Colossus, which is all about getting different creators and events and stuff like that to kind of help each other out. So, and he's just a great connector. So we were at his event talking to a bunch of other indie game creators, and we just were trying to think, how can we help each other out? How can we give everybody a leg up? The first idea we had was a bad idea. It was my idea. I said, what if we all pooled our mailing lists together and made a big mailing list? Well, that's a bad idea. You can't do that. That's illegal. You can't just send people stuff they didn't
That's illegal.
So so that's okay. That led to this other idea, which is, okay, well, what if we had something new for them to sign up for instead? And so that's what we've done. So we have a thing now called the Analog Union. And in this iteration, it's basically a newsletter that you can sign up for. But it's a newsletter created by a bunch of different indie game companies. So our inaugural members of the Analog Union, I'm going to read these off here. The first members are Arcane Sword Press. And that's the folks that run Arcane Con, and they put out some great OSR stuff. They're up there in Massachusetts. We also have Get Haunted Industries, which is Joey Royale's company. They make the Fairhaven, WH, Weird Heroes of Public Access. So I don't try to spell the letters out. We have Salt Heart RPG, which is the Burn 2D6, Kevin Borup. We have Justin's company, Severed Books. And of course, we have ourselves, Solarian. So what we're doing, this is kind of fun. Every week, we are sending out a newsletter to anybody who signs up for it that's got stuff from all of us. So this first one is going to be going out on Tuesday. And they're going to go out every Tuesday. So we're scheduling it so every Tuesday, 10 a.m. Pacific, because that's what I've heard is the right time to send things. So every Tuesday, this will go out. And it's just kind of different things. Sometimes in the first one, we have got a couple of freebies in here from some of the folks. We've got some interesting thoughts on gaming. We have some upcoming events. We have a little bit of just like stuff you can buy, stuff you can download. The newsletter is going to get a little lengthy. It's going to be a lot to read through. So, it's actually something I think is really worth subscribing to. It's totally free. You go to analogunion.com. There's a little place to put your email address. There's a very fun, let's go back to that other picture. I want to show the fun illustration that Hanai did, which I think is cool. And so there we have somebody reading the Analog Union with their cat, as they should. And also you'll be able to go to the website and see past newsletters. So if you ever miss something, you can go and see ones from the past. We'll put them up a week after they go out. So anybody who's subscribed will get that week's stuff earlier than anybody else. And this is just our thing. We'll be adding more companies over time. We're going to be really careful about it because we don't want to make a newsletter that's so long that you can't read it. So we're going to be kind of careful about how we do that. But for right now, as I say, we've got 5 companies at the beginning, and probably be a couple more. We've invited a couple of other friends into it for now, and we'll be seeing them again soon. And we're really excited. I've been doing a ton of work getting this working. So.
Yeah, because one of the things that Jason and I had talked about a lot over the years, one of the places that we fall very short on is being able to market. We're not marketing people. You can only have so many friggin' skills, right? 2 people running a company. We have the skills that we have, and marketing is not one of them. And a lot of people, a lot of game companies don't. They're people who decided to make games. They got into the hobby, and they're generally not people from the marketing industry. It's its own skill. So we figured that this would be probably our best avenue for marketing, to get our stuff out there so people can see it, because you can make the best stuff in the world. And if nobody sees it, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you made. It doesn't matter how good it is. So this is a way for us to get the stuff out there so people can see it. And like Jason said, there's some free stuff that people will be releasing. We'll probably do some of that too. I don't think we're doing it this week, but it'll come up at some point. Yeah, so it's kind of cool. You get a newsletter. You don't hate it.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. Like I said, I've had a chance to read what everybody's put in already, because I'm putting together the actual thing to send out, and it's actually got lots of fun stuff to read in there. It's cool, and I'm hoping that over time, because this will be coming out every week, just like we do this podcast every week, you kind of get your habit going, that we'll develop a bit of a community around the people who follow, and that's what I would like to see. So I'm hoping that people go and sign up at analogunion.com and stay in touch with us. So that is it. That's all we got to say this week. All right. So if you are a Patreon, if you're a paid Patreon subscriber, you can come and join us in the Discord. And if you are on YouTube, you should like and subscribe. If you are listening on the podcast, you should give us a review. It would be really helpful. And we will see you next week.